Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Resch Center in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Monday Night Raw tonight, this was a very mediocre show. Monday Night Raw was tonight. If you did not watch the show, you did not miss a damn thing. Except for Asuka returning, and the one that we all called and we didn't want to see, Goldberg. Yeah, Goldberg returned to Monday Night Raw tonight. And we all called it. He's going to be facing GUNTHER, but not at Night of Champions, which I originally thought was going to happen. But we had the Fatal 4-Way first round match in the Queen of the Ring tournament, where it was Asuka who returned. She ended up taking on Stephanie Vaquer, Ivy Nile, and Raquel Rodriguez. We had AJ Styles versus JD McDonough. And we also had Liv Morgan versus Kairi Sane, which the match didn't even finish, which I will get to. And the main event, we had Jey Uso versus Bronson Reed versus Sheamus versus Rusev, Fatal 4-Way first round match in the King of the Ring tournament. We also had Bayley end up coming out, and she ended up calling out Becky Lynch. Yeah, that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Very mediocre show it was. Very lackluster, and the show sucked, in my opinion. Show absolutely fucking sucked. But anyway, let's jump right into the review. Not going to spend a whole lot of time discussing this show, but let's start right from the top. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. And pretty much Liv Morgan ended up addressing, her attack on Nikki Bella last week. And when I saw this segment go down, I'm like, yeah, we're in for a very long Monday Night Raw tonight. Yeah, let's open the show very mediocre. So, Liv Morgan and Dominic, they were in the ring. Liv ended up getting on the mic, and she ended up welcoming everyone to Monday Night Morgan. Liv then asked the crowd to make some noise for the most gorgeous man in WWE and the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time in Dominic Mysterio, to which the crowd there in Green Bay booed Dominic as he started flexing. So Dominic then took the mic. He ended up going to speak, but he ended up getting booed by the crowd as usual. So Dominic ended up saying that tonight is not about him, and it's all about Liv. And Liv ended up saying respect is what she's here to talk about, and that everyone needs reminding that this is her division. She ended up saying when you talk about her division, you talk about her. She ended up saying that Nikki Bella had to learn the hard way, and now she is sitting at home watching her on TV. Liv ended up saying what's worse is Io telling Nikki Bella that she paved the way for them all. And Liv ended up saying no one paved her way, especially Nikki. Liv ended up saying that she paved her own way, and that she's the first and only 4-time Women's Tag Team Champion. And she ended up saying that makes her the greatest Women's Tag Team Champion of all time. And as we all know, the Women's Tag Team titles, they're just absolutely irrelevant and awful, in my opinion. So, Liv Morgan ended up saying that she's not asking for respect anymore, to which she ended up psychotically looked into the camera. And Liv ended up saying that she's demanding respect. And Liv ended up saying that she also demands the rematch that she never got for the Women's World Championship. So this brought out Io Sky. Io headed to the ring, and she then got into the ring. We had the crowd end up chanting for Io. Io got on the mic. She ended up telling Liv to do everyone a favor and shut her mouth. Io ended up saying that all Liv does is whine and show disrespect. Io then shouted at her in Japanese. She ended up saying that Liv disrespected Nikki and also herself. So Io ended up telling Liv that if she wants to fight her, she's right here. So Liv ended up saying that she wants to fight Io, but only for the Women's World Championship. She ended up saying that if Io is scared to fight her because she has beaten her more than any other woman in the division, she can just hand her the Women's World Championship. So Io was like to Liv, oh, if you want the title, you have to earn it. She ended up saying that she can't just steal it like Liv stole Dominic. So Dominic started to speak, and the crowd booed him, of course. Dominic then ended up telling Io to give Liv Morgan what she wants, like he does every day. So Liv Morgan was like, okay, I'll take the Women's World Championship now. So Io ended up saying Liv can have the title. Io then tossed the title to Liv, and then Io laid out Liv with a drop kick, and she then ended up kicking Liv in her head. Io then ended up kicking Dominic in the head, and Io ended up knocking both Dominic and Liv out of the ring. And pretty much that was basically how the segment ended. Very mediocre, awful segment to open up Monday Night Raw here. And while this segment was going on, I'm like, oh my God, this is so mediocre and we're in for a long night. But yeah, that was a segment. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan walked up to Raquel Rodriguez, who was preparing for her match coming up, which she was in the Fatal 4-Way, first round match in the Queen of the Ring tournament. So Liv Morgan ended up telling Raquel to go out there and win. She ended up saying afterward, they'll take care of Kairi Sane and Io. To which Raquel was like, got it. And pretty much that was that. Then we went to the first match, which was the Fatal 4-Way in first round match in the Queen of the Ring tournament. It was Stephanie Vaquer versus Ivy Nile versus Raquel Rodriguez versus the return of Asuka. And this was Asuka's first match back in a year since Backlash in France. And this was a decent Fatal 4-Way match here. Asuka looked good in the match here. She showed no signs of ring rust, which that's a good sign. So the match got underway. Ivy Nile ended up going after Stephanie Vaquer. Raquel Rodriguez ended up going after Asuka. And I liked Asuka's makeup that was done on her. She had a nice looking mask as she came out. Badass looking mask. So Asuka and Vaquer end up teaming up to take out Raquel Rodriguez with a double super kick. The crowd then chanted welcome back to Asuka, so the crowd ended up showing their respect for Asuka coming back. So this led to Asuka and Vaquer locking up. And this is a potential dream match for when Asuka and Vaquer go at it one-on-one. I would like to see, a one-on-one match between the both of them. So Vaquer ended up taking Asuka down, and Asuka kicked out. Asuka then took Vaquer down, to which Vaquer ended up kicking out. So Ivy Nile then ended up attacking Vaquer, and she ended up trying to roll Raquel Rodriguez up, but Raquel ended up swatting Ivy away. Raquel then ended up launching Vaquer with a release powerbomb into both Asuka and Ivy Nile. So then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Vaquer ended up hitting a head scissor into a roll-up on Vaquer. So Vaquer ended up hitting Ivy Nile with a snap suplex. She then ended up hitting Raquel with the Eat the Feet. There were points where Vaquer was trying to hit the Devil's Kiss on Ivy Nile, but Raquel Rodriguez broke it up with a kick to Vaquer's ribs. So Vaquer ended up getting out of a vertical suplex from Raquel, and she ended up hitting a snapmare. She then ended up attempting to hit the Devil's Kiss on Raquel, but Raquel powered Stephanie up on her shoulders, and she then big booted Asuka down. Vaquer ended up managing to pull Raquel Rodriguez over the top rope, and she then powered Raquel Rodriguez onto the apron. And Vaquer then ended up delivering the Devil's Kiss to Raquel Rodriguez on the apron, which, was crazy. Where's Booker T when you need him on commentary when Stephanie Vaquer ends up doing the Devil's Kiss? So just Booker T's commentary when she ended up hitting Devil's Kiss was just absolutely hilarious. So Vaquer followed the Devil's Kiss on Raquel Rodriguez from the apron, and she ended up doing a springboard crossbody block to Raquel. Asuka then grabbed Vaquer for an Asuka lock, but Vaquer ended up backing Asuka into the corner. Asuka then ended up hitting Raquel with a hip attack to knock her off the apron. Ivy Nile then quickly rolled Asuka up, to which Asuka kicked out. Ivy Nile then followed up with a bridging German suplex on Asuka, and Asuka ended up kicking out. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw a nice Tower of Doom spot, and Raquel Rodriguez had Ivy Nile and Stephanie Vaquer on her shoulders. Asuka then ended up going up to the top, and she ended up taking all the women out with a missile drop kick. Nice spot there. So Asuka went back and forth. She started kicking away at Stephanie Vaquer and Ivy Nile. There was a point where Raquel Rodriguez ended up booting Vaquer down, and she connected with the Tejana bomb on Stephanie Vaquer. So Raquel ended up going for the cover, and she was pulled out of the ring by Rhea Ripley, by Mommy. If you remember last week, Rhea Ripley was going for the cover on Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez pulled Rhea Ripley out of the ring. So Rhea got her revenge this week on Raquel. So Rhea Ripley then delivered the Riptide on Raquel on the floor. Rhea then sent Raquel back into the ring, and Asuka then ended up hitting the Empress Impact, to which they're now calling that finisher, which is a basement hip attack. So Asuka hit that on Raquel. She ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Asuka ended up winning the match, and she will now compete in the semifinal match this Friday on SmackDown against Alexa Bliss. So that match is set in stone for Friday. Post-match, Cathy Kelly got into the ring with Asuka. Cathy Kelly ended up mentioning that this was Asuka's first match in over a year since Backlash France. And Asuka ended up saying that the fire didn't die, and it's still alive. Asuka ended up saying that she will be the queen of the ring, and no one is ready for Asuka. So pretty much that was basically that. But this was the right decision, having Asuka come back and win the match and go to the semifinal match against Alexa Bliss this Friday on SmackDown. But like I said, Asuka, she did good in the match, and she showed no signs of ring rust, which was a positive. But really happy that Asuka is back. Overall, decent Fatal 4-Way it was. And then we had Finn Balor JD McDonough, Dominic Mysterio, Roxanne Perez, and Raquel Rodriguez. They were in the Judgment Day clubhouse. Raquel was shown with an ice pack on her neck. Liv Morgan walked in, and she wanted to talk strategy with Raquel Rodriguez for Io Sky and Kairi Sane. So Raquel ended up telling Liv that medical hasn't cleared her yet. So Liv Morgan ended up saying to Raquel, I'll handle it myself. So Dominic ended up going to run after Liv, but McDonough stopped Dominic. And he ended up asking Dominic why he's facing AJ Styles. Dominic ended up saying that Styles has been breathing down his neck, and he wants McDonough to handle him. Balor ended up saying to McDonough that he'll be with him. Dominic ended up saying that Balor was supposed to handle Styles weeks ago. And Dominic ended up telling Balor to stay back and hold down the fort. But Balor wasn't too happy about that. He then ended up saying that Dominic is right. Balor then ended up telling Dominic to watch McDonough's back and make sure everything goes smoothly. So both Dominic and McDonough end up walking off. Balor then ended up telling Raquel that she's doing great. Roxanne Perez walked up to Balor, and Balor was like to Roxanne Perez, oh, I have an idea for you. And pretty much that was basically that. Then we had Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, the Ring General, to which he won the World Heavyweight Championship from Jey Uso last week in the main event of Monday Night Raw. So Gunther ended up coming into the ring. He showed off the World Heavyweight Championship, and he kissed the championship in the ring. He posed with the title as pyro was going off. The crowd there booed Gunther. And Gunther got on the mic. He ended up saying that he's man enough to admit that Jey Uso was the better man at WrestleMania for one night. He ended up saying on every other night, he is untouchable. Gunther ended up saying that he has heard the chatter about what's next for him. Gunther ended up saying that he learned his lesson when he cussed him out in front of Jey Uso's family. Gunther ended up saying that he doesn't care about rumors. And the reality is that Seth Rollins holds the Money in the Bank briefcase. Gunther ended up saying that he has what Rollins wants. He ended up saying a few weeks ago, Rollins told him that he's a target when he wins back his World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther ended up saying that he'll make it easy for Rollins. So Gunther was like, I am right here. And then this is where we're like, oh God, why? We had Goldberg make his way out. Goldberg returned. He got a big ovation. Why? As Goldberg came out, he was limping his way to the ring, and he was already sweating as he got into the ring. And when he got on the mic, he sounded so out of breath. So Goldberg got on the mic. He thanked the crowd. He ended up saying that he's here to celebrate Gunther winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And Goldberg ended up saying that he wants to congratulate Gunther and put a note on tonight to say he was proud of him. So Goldberg was like, oh, before I leave, he ended up telling Gunther, oh, I remember a few months ago, you started something with me and my family in Atlanta, Georgia. Goldberg ended up saying that he's going to make sure that he ends it in Atlanta. So Goldberg ended up telling Gunther, July the 12th, Saturday night's main event, Atlanta, Georgia. You're mine because you're next. And pretty much that was basically that. So yeah, we're getting Goldberg versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday night's main event on July 12th. Oh, I am so excited to see this match. I'm so excited to see a potential 5-minute match that's worth of spears and jackhammers, kick out after kick out. Yeah. Who's excited for that? I know I'm not. And this is going to be Goldberg's retirement match. God. Who asked for this? Who did? Yeah, I can't wait to see Goldberg versus Gunther, a 5-minute match that's nothing but spear after spear, jackhammer after jackhammer, kick out after kick out. It's going to be one hell of a match come Saturday night's main event, right? Awful. Awful, awful, awful. Then we had JD McDonough versus AJ Styles. McDonough was accompanied by Dominic Mysterio. This was just very meh, in my opinion. Match ended up getting in the way. Both McDonough and Styles locked up. Styles backed McDonough into the corner. McDonough ended up pulling on Styles' hair, and he turned Styles around. Styles quickly ended up hitting a headlock takeover. McDonough fought up, and he put Styles in a side headlock. Styles whipped McDonough off, but McDonough ended up shoulder tackling Styles. Styles ended up quickly taking McDonough down and applied a headlock. McDonough fought up, and he whipped Styles off, but Styles ended up hitting a sunset flip on McDonough, and McDonough kicked out. McDonough ended up applying a head scissor on Styles, but Styles ended up flipping out of that head scissor. So Styles ended up attempting a Styles clash on McDonough, but McDonough scurried away. McDonough ended up quickly turning Styles around and started stomping him down. McDonough then chopped Styles and sent him into the ropes for a hip toss attempt. Styles then countered that into a calf crusher on McDonough. McDonough ended up trying to get to the ropes to break up the calf crusher, but Styles rolled McDonough into the ring. Dominic then quickly pulled Styles out of the ring. Styles then chased Dominic around the ring, and this led to McDonough diving over the barricade, and he clotheslined Styles down right by the timekeeper's area. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, McDonough was in control of the match. He pulled Styles down by his hair. McDonough then stood on Styles' hair, and he pulled him up. Styles then ended up fighting back, and he connected with a strike combo onto McDonough, which was followed up by a basement flying forearm. Styles then ended up hitting a corner clothesline to McDonough. He then followed that up with a Ushigoroshi, and he ended up going for the cover, to which McDonough kicked out. Styles then set up for the Styles Clash, but McDonough got out of that, and he headbutted Styles. McDonough then connected with a brainbuster to Styles. He ended up going for the cover, to which Styles kicked out. So at the end of the match, Styles ended up delivering the Styles Clash to McDonough. He then pointed at Dominic, and there you go. Styles ended up winning the match. Post-match, Dominic ended up running into the ring to hit Styles with the Intercontinental Championship. Styles moved out of the way. Styles then ended up hitting an overhead kick to Dominic, and he ended up setting up for the phenomenal forearm. Balor then ended up running down to save Dominic. Styles then picked up the Intercontinental Championship, and he posed with it. Styles then escaped with the Intercontinental Championship, and pretty much that was basically that. Overall, very mid match it was. And then we saw Sheamus. He was shown warming up, and Natalya, Maxine Dupree, and Akira Tozawa walked up to him. And I'm like, why is the Alpha Academy still a thing? Really? So Sheamus ended up telling them that he's going to beat the bully in Rusev. Tozawa then shouted, "Sheamus, kick his ass!" So then Sheamus then fist bumped Tozawa. Pretty much that was that. And we saw Bayley. She was walking backstage, and she ended up passing the New Day, the World Tag Team Champions. And they were trying to meditate this fight that was happening between Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. And Xavier Woods, he looked like a pimp there. He had the hat. He had a red hat. He had a black jacket. He had a cane. Yeah, Xavier Woods channeling his inner pimp. So then we had Bayley. Bayley ended up making her way out, and we heard her music. Man, music for the theme for Bayley, that has got to change. I've heard that Paramore is going to record a new theme for Bayley, which I like that. I like Paramore. They have some good songs. So Bayley got on the mic. She kept saying, "Ding dong, Green Bay." She kept saying that it's amazing to be back and that she missed everyone so much. And the crowd started chanting, "Let's go, Bayley." And Bayley wanted to make sure that Michael Cole heard it. Of course, we all know, Bayley and Michael Cole's, feud. When Bayley was a heel, she would always trash Michael Cole and shit on him. So Bayley ended up saying, everyone knows the quote, that you don't know what you have until it's gone. She kept saying that she doesn't take it for granted. And she kept saying that she revels in the opportunity to stand before the people. She kept saying that it's what she was born to do, and it's what she's put her heart and soul into every night. She kept saying 2 months ago, she was stripped of an opportunity, and she was robbed of a match at WrestleMania for the Women's Tag Team Championship, a division she holds near and dear to her heart. Bayley ended up saying that she doesn't come here for one night, and she doesn't do it for the big moments or the titles. She does it for nights like tonight, and people like those in the crowd. She kept saying that if Becky thinks taking her out of WrestleMania hurt her, she's wrong. She kept saying that it made her better and stronger. And she may have said in the past how much Becky has been a chip on her shoulder, and that she is always 2 steps ahead. Bayley kept saying that she is focused on taking everything away from Becky. So then she called out Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch came out, and she was wearing a Chicago Bears jacket, to which the crowd ended up chanting, "The Bears still suck." So Becky ended up saying, "The Bears beat Green Bay last time." So Becky ended up saying that Bayley accepts being second fiddle, whereas she doesn't, much like the Packers. Of course, she had to take ribs to Green Bay, to the Packers. She ended up saying that Bayley would rather have a group of friends than a legacy. Becky ended up saying that she wants her legacy more than fake-ass friends. So Bayley ended up saying that she has a legacy and is a future Hall of Famer. She ended up saying that she doesn't mind helping those who need it. So Becky then mocked Bayley. She ended up saying that she used to fight for the people, but they stopped fighting for her. She ended up saying that the people stopped fighting for Bayley too. So Becky ended up saying that when she took her spot at WrestleMania, no one gave a damn about Bayley. And Bayley ended up saying that Becky sounds like an idiot. She ended up saying that Becky is insecure, and that she was so worried about what people would think after a year away that she took her out to be a surprise. Bayley then ended up mentioning that Becky then attacked Lyra the next night because she was scared. Becky ended up saying that they cheered that too. Bayley ended up asking if Becky remembers what it's like to scratch and claw for a title, or is her head too far up her ass? Which that got a big pop from the crowd. Becky ended up saying that she doesn't remember. She then ended up asking Bayley if she remembers what gold feels like. So Becky was leaning against the ropes. Bayley then ended up telling Becky to step up to her. Becky ended up saying that if Bayley wants a match, she can have it, except not for the title. Becky ended up saying, "I'll see you in Columbus." So Becky ended up swinging at Bayley, but Bayley ended up knocking Becky out of the ring, and pretty much that was basically that. Overall, did not care about this segment. Really didn't. I mean, I'm happy that Bayley, is back, but do I really care about this feud Bayley and Becky Lynch. And then we saw Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly ended up asking Jay about him losing the World Heavyweight Championship. Jay ended up saying to Kathy Kelly that he's got Gunther's respect when he beat him at WrestleMania. He ended up saying that Gunther got his respect last week and that they're tied. Jay ended up saying that if he has to win King of the Ring to get another title shot, then you can say less. Yeet! So then, as SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had Nick Aldis, SmackDown General Manager, backstage. Adam Pearce was not present tonight. So AJ Styles walked up to Nick Aldis. Styles ended up giving Aldis the Intercontinental Championship. Aldis ended up saying to Styles that'll get the Intercontinental Championship back to Dominic eventually. Nick Aldis then ended up saying that Styles will have a chance to win the title permanently at Night of Champions. So there you go, it's confirmed. Styles versus Dominic for the Intercontinental Championship at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. So Bayley then walked up to Aldis. Aldis ended up saying that Becky took a title shot from her, so Becky owes her one. Nick Aldis ended up saying that next week, Bayley will battle Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So there you go. We're getting that next week on Monday Night Raw in Columbus. So Bayley started to walk, and she bumped into Lyra Valkyria. Bayley ended up apologizing to Lyra for not getting back to her. She ended up telling Lyra it was a rough 2 months, and she's doing what's best for her. Lyra ended up saying that when Bayley wins the title, she'll also do what's best for her. There you go. That was that. But Lyra was coming off. Are we going to have Lyra turn heel here? You know, just by what we saw here, that's possibly what they're going to do. They're going to make Lyra a heel. And then we had Kairi Sane versus Liv Morgan, to which the match ended up ending because Kairi Sane ended up taking Liv Morgan down with a dragon screw, and Liv Morgan immediately got out of the ring, and she grabbed her shoulder in pain. So then the show went to commercial. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw a replay of that bump from Liv Morgan, and it was revealed by Michael Cole that Liv Morgan suffered a dislocated shoulder. And right on the replay, you could see Liv Morgan's shoulder being dislocated from that bump that she took from Kairi Sane. But Liv Morgan will be out for a few months. Prayers to Liv. Speedy recovery for her. So the match was called off, and it was awarded to Kairi Sane. And then we saw Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly was with Sami Zayn. She ended up asking Sami about facing Randy Orton this Friday on SmackDown. Sami ended up telling Kathy Kelly that he's talked about the World Championship so much, and now the opportunity is here, and that this time feels different. So, of course, Karrion Kross walked up to Sami Zayn. Can we get Karrion Kross in the ring for a match, please, instead of him just being backstage and cutting promo segments with Sami Zayn? To which the crowd cheered Karrion Kross here. So Kross ended up saying that Sami is an insane person who is repeating the same thing over and over. He ended up saying this Friday Sami will face a guy who knows how to win in Randy Orton. He ended up saying that Sami will lose while Orton goes on to be a 15-time world champion, and that Sami will stay at 0. Sami ended up saying to Kross that he thinks Kross is a coward, and that Kross hides in the shadows and talks in riddles. And he ended up saying that Kross doesn't fight because maybe he can't back it up. Sami ended up saying that he has lost and had the courage to pick himself up. He ended up saying, can Kross stay the same? Sami ended up saying that he's done listening to Kross talk, and that King of the Ring is his priority. He ends up saying the second that is done, he's going to Adam Pearce, and that they'll have their match once and for all. And Cross was like, well, it's about time. So there you go. That was that. And then they announced what we're going to see next week on Monday Night Raw in Columbus, Ohio. Getting Becky Lynch versus Bayley for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. We're getting semifinal matches in the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring tournament. For the Queen of the Ring semifinal, we're seeing Jade Cargill versus Roxanne Perez. And the King of the Ring semifinal match will be Cody Rhodes. He will take on the winner of the main event that I'm about to talk about. So that's all set for Monday Night Raw next week in Columbus. Main event, Fatal 4-Way first round match in the King of the Ring tournament. Jey Uso versus Rusev versus Sheamus versus Bronson Reed. Of course, Bronson Reed was accompanied by Paul Heyman. This was a good match here. Match got underway. Bronson Reed ended up going after Sheamus. Rusev ended up taking Jey down. Bronson Reed then knocked Sheamus out of the ring. Sheamus ended up punching him in his legs. Bronson Reed quickly ended up sending Sheamus into the ring post, and he ended up sending Sheamus into the LED barricade. In the ring, Rusev was going after Jey Uso. Rusev started punching Jey's taped ribs. Jey quickly ended up pulling the top rope down to get Rusev out of the ring. Rusev popped up and he started punching Jey back. Bronson Reed pulled Rusev down and they started trading punches at ringside. Rusev then reversed the whip into the steps. Jey then ended up taking Rusev out with a suicide dive. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Bronson Reed was attacking Jey. Jey ended up getting in the way and he started punching Bronson Reed a few times. Jey ended up kicking an uppercut in Bronson Reed. He ended up hitting a step-up enziguri that knocked Bronson Reed out of the ring. Sheamus, later on, he ended up quickly ended up grabbing Bronson Reed over the barricade, and he ended up delivering the 10 beats of the Bodhrán, but he ended up delivering 20 beats of the Bodhrán to Bronson Reed. Jey then superkicked Sheamus coming over the barricade. Bronson Reed then charged at Jey, but Jey ended up sidestepping Bronson Reed. It drove Bronson Reed into the barricade. So Rusev then avalanched Jey at ringside. Rusev then laid out a scream as he entered the ring, and he squared off with Sheamus. And Michael Cole ended up mentioning that Sheamus never defeated Rusev in a match, which is true. Sheamus never beat Rusev. So Rusev and Sheamus were exchanging blows in the ring. Sheamus knocked Rusev back and he ended up sending him into the ropes. Rusev then ducked a clothesline from Sheamus and he connected with a spin kick, which took Sheamus down. Rusev ended up charging and Sheamus ended up booting Rusev back. So Rusev ended up charging at Sheamus again. Sheamus ended up hitting Rusev with the Tilt-A-Whirl Power Slam. You had, towards the end of the match, where we had Jey end up hitting the ropes. He ended up hitting Bronson Reed with a spear. Jey ended up going up to the top to deliver the Uso Splash, but Braun Breaker pushed Jey down. This is where it got so overbooked here. It all started with Bronson Reed pushing Jey Uso down. Sami Zayn then ran out. He ended up attacking Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker tried to cut Sami Zayn off, but Sami ended up sending him into the ring post. He ended up going for the Helluva Kick, but Breaker ended up catching Sami, and he military pressed Sami over the commentary table. Then all of a sudden, Penta came out. Penta took Breaker out with a somersault senton. Bronson Reed ended up hitting Jey Uso with a Death Valley driver. Bronson Reed headed up to the top to deliver the tsunami, but LA Knight ended up running in, and he pushed Bronson Reed down to the canvas. Jey then superkicked Bronson Reed and took him out with a spear. Jey headed to the top rope. He ended up hitting Bronson Reed with the Uso Splash. Jay then ended up going back to the top rope and delivered a second Uso splash. Jay ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Jay Uso ended up winning the match. So Jay Uso will face Cody Rhodes next week on Monday Night Raw in the King of the Ring semifinals. So post-match, Jay was clutching his knee on the canvas. Seth Rollins ended up coming out. Rollins ended up charging down to ringside, and he ended up handing the Money in the Bank briefcase to Paul Heyman. So Rollins was going to attack Jay, but Cody Rhodes ran down and made the save. So Cody and Rollins end up staring at each other. Rollins then left the ring to boos from the crowd. So Cody and Jay then turned and they looked at each other. Both guys shook hands, and that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, good match. It was good fatal 4-way match. This was obviously no surprise. Jay ended up winning the match, but Jey Uso and Cody next week on Raw should be a good match. But overall, what a very mid Monday Night Raw this was. But anyway, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, I'll see you all later. And be sure to join me on my buddy Luke Ponto's channel tomorrow for episode 20 of the Movie Fanatics, where we're not going to be discussing movie news. We're going to be doing a game night. So join me live on Luke Ponto's channel at 8 p.m. Eastern as we do game night. So see you all later.